Scene number 11. The Betrayer. The Betrayer character is named Cypher, which is a play on the word cipher. This word has a meaning to mean a zero. Cypher demonstrates that he is indeed without value, since he is a selfish murderer. Jesus said about Judas, "It would have been better for him if he had never been born." In other words, Judas would have better off be a cipher or a zero. When Neo walks up to him, Cypher is frightened. Cypher then turns off some of the monitors. Fear is the opposite of faith. Cypher also shows deception by turning off the monitors. However, righteousness has nothing to hide. Constant patterns of fear or secrecy indicate that someone is not walking in the truth, but in sin. Neo asks Cypher, "Do you always look at encoded?" Cypher answers, "Well, you have to." Not true. Neo sees the Matrix as it truly is at the end of the film in the hallway. He understands the code. Like Cypher, an unbeliever never gains spiritual eyes. As Paul says, "We don't speak about these things with words taught us by human wisdom, but with words taught by the Spirit, as we explain spiritual things to spiritual people." A person who isn't spiritual doesn't accept the things of God's Spirit, for they are nonsense to him. He can't understand them because they are spiritually evaluated. Cypher asks Neo if he wants a drink. We see Cypher has been drinking from a large jug. A sinful person will often try to tempt a true Christian from his devotion. Cypher was not sipping from a cup, but guzzling from a large jug, indicating overt drunkenness and lack of self-control. As Cypher talks to Neo, he says, "I've been thinking it ever since I got here. Why, oh why, didn't I take the blue pill?" A lack of faith is deadly. It is guarantee of self-destruction. It is interesting that Judas is never recorded as personally calling Jesus by the title Lord, indicating that Judas never believed. Cypher discourages Neo. "What a mind job! So you're here to save the world. What do you say to something like that?" The Christian's goal is that of Christ, to see the entire world saved. This is a difficult goal because of the hardness of so many hearts. Evil will always tempt a Christian to despair of the work of helping others to come to salvation in Christ. Cypher gives Neo a little piece of advice. He says, "You see an agent, you do what we do. Run." This is another lying attack on the faith of the Christian, telling him that Satan is stronger than his position in God. We then see Cypher meeting with Agent Smith, setting up terms of betrayal over wine and a rare steak. Note the following parallels of Solomon's wisdom and the exchange that takes place between Smith and Cypher. Whenever you sit down to dine with a ruler, carefully think about what is before you. Put a knife to your own throat if you have a big appetite. Don't crave his delicacies, because the meal is deceptive. Don't exhaust yourself acquiring wealth. Be smart enough to stop. When you fix your gaze on it, it's gone, for it sprouts wings for itself and flies to the sky like an eagle. Don't consume food provided by a miserly person, and don't desire his delicacies. For as he thinks within himself, so he is. Eat and drink, he'll say to you, but his heart won't be with you. The ruler, like Satan, or in this case Agent Smith, will often use delicacies to sway a good man toward evil. Cypher ignores such warnings and has a big appetite, while he gorges himself with Smith's deceptive meal. The steak is also bloody, a foreshadowing of the blood that will be spilled by his betrayal. The surreal restaurant harp is suggestive of enchantment, the deception of the enemy to lull the Christian into complacency. And all along, Smith's heart was never with Cypher. Cypher sighs and says, "Ignorance is bliss." Even though he knows the steak doesn't exist, he still prefers the falseness of the Matrix to the truth of the real world. Voluntary ignorance is not bliss. Instead, it is enslavement that ends in destruction.